Welcome to Immediate Review, where we see something different. Alright, my normal intro won't work.
We normally see movies in theaters and immediately review them, but we're gonna break our routine and do our first at-home review. So I guess this opens the floodgates, but we are reviewing a film called Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
And the reason we're reviewing it is it's a horror film that's on VHS. And this is the only way you can currently watch this movie. And it's a brand new film. And it's Sid Haig's last movie. It has someone from from Halloween in it, PJ Scholes. And it is weird. This is odd. And so we had to get it, had to watch it, had to review it. It's apparently coming out on Blu-ray in 2 months in March, and then it's gonna go to theaters this December. And I guess a few limited screenings have already happened in Texas. But yeah, as of right now, there are 300 of these. So yeah, we just watched it. I'll go first. I'm surprised. I had low expectations when when I watched the trailer. I was like, ugh, I didn't think it looked good at all. But I was just like, this. It's on VHS. I gotta support this and check it out. And yeah, when it starts, it's just like it's so creepy and atmospheric, and the VHS complements the tone. And it starts with Sid Haig, and he's this rabbi killer who every night during Hanukkah kills a different person, and he's on his final victim, and he kills his own son. And fucking.
And the plot was vague to me, man. It was hard to follow.
It was. It really was. No, it was for me
and
too.
I do have to preface. I'm like exhausted and I've had like a crazy long week, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff about.
And
like,
we are not experts on Judaism.
Yeah, it's like I'm not an expert on the Jewish religion like at all. And so a lot of the like passages that they were pointing out and like different terms and like what I would assume is probably common terminology among the that community was really difficult to follow along for me. And so I was kind of just following along more with like the context of like what was going on more than the actual subtext and subplot that was happening between the character dynamics, because there definitely was some, but like when the I think the detective is he the detective or I can't remember what character he was. See, like I wasn't even able to follow along with that. And it's like, there's an old guy who showed up who delivered exposition to pretty much everybody and explained everything. He was very well informed about this mysterious murderer, like bad Jew killer, basically.
So wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. And so he does this, and then there's like a curse. So years later, it influences this other killer who I thought was related to him, because they were kind of baiting it, like this killer is the guy who murdered his son. But so we see this other killer, and we're wondering, like, is it him? Is it not? And then we find out it's not. And what is that? That's our little toy you found. And then we find out it's like basically a copycat killer, and he's like, there's some youths, and the youths of today, he doesn't think they're what's it called? He doesn't think they're kosher.
That's a good word for it, I guess.
And the detective comes in, and he's like, he's out to kill all the bad Jews, and he wants to get you. And our kind of main protagonist is just this kind of nerdy dorky guy, and at first I didn't like him, and he kind of felt like a one-off throwaway character type of guy who dies first or second. And I actually kind of dug him. Yeah, like you said, I didn't really fully understand a lot of the arguments and stuff they had, but like, I dug it, and I thought it was unique and interesting, and I could follow along well enough. I mean, it wasn't that.
Yeah, like I said, those scenes, they were all about context for me, because like there's literally a scene where like he responds with like a passage, and he'll like say the number of the passage and then what it says, and then the other guy will respond with just like a fake, like just a number, like, and he insinuated that like those numbers that he was saying were fake, but so that he was essentially indoctrinated by like a fake translation.
Even then, I don't know what the fuck John 3:16 means, and that shit gets sputtered up.
Yeah, so I think you said that like there were only a certain amount of passages, and they only went to a certain number, and 16 was like over, or whatever, and it was just like, yeah, it's like that. There were only this many passages, so those ones were written by your dad, and so you've been manipulated from the beginning. And tried to like, you know, change his ways and tell him that like, you know, his religion didn't justify murder and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's trying to show him too that he knows the Torah well.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, you don't think I know the Torah? How about this? How about that? And you're going against it, and you like to pick and choose and what to follow, which, you know, is applicable in basically every religion.
Take that, Christianity.
There's a scene where there's like a drunk Santa who's like a douchebag, and like the rabbi killer murders him. It's so awesome.
It's War on Christmas.
It's great. Fucking yeah, it's towards the end it got confusing. It's like they're trying to have twists, and I didn't really understand where most of it was coming from. I really didn't. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to just like a synagogue. Are they called synagogues? No, they're not called synagogues.
I'm gonna stay away from like, you know, direct term statements like that.
I don't know what they're called.
Try not to be, you know,
the like, temples or whatever. But yeah. They cut to it, and there's a rabbi like speaking, and you know he has this like very long, serious, like after this like, you know, smutty gore fest, giallo homage. It's just this very serious reading, and you know, yeah, I understood, like you said, kind of the feel of what he's saying, but I didn't. The end was, I was totally lost.
Yeah,
I did not understand what he was talking about.
It might just be because I'm super tired, but like I seriously, like that last speech made no sense to me at all. And if I had like more context and whatnot, but like, you know. And I mean, fucking Matt was here with us. He was like falling asleep.
Matt was going to do the review. He fell asleep during the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Not shaming, you know. No shame. Just, you know,
we turned the lights off to try to mimic cinematic experience, and he works hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm still awake, honestly. Like we decided to film this on our little camera.
If it was 15 minutes longer, I might have been there with him.
I mean, we could show our camera rig if we want.
You just want to randomly show off our camera?
Yeah, let's do it.
Whatever, let's do it. Pause. Review pause. Check it out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is what we film on professionally.
Day bow bow. Oh yeah. By comparison, the camera you're watching now, or we're filming with now, is probably like that big, maybe. Yeah, about that big.
Right. Yeah, it's like one of the only times we are filming with that camera in the room.
This is what happens when we do reviews at home. We get distracted. All right, so
the car is very isolated.
So
cinematography.
Well, overall, I just the other thing I want to say is just like it's it's doing the '80s throwback thing, and I like it. I normally don't like it when modern movies do that, but I really appreciated it in this. Maybe it's because we were watching it on VHS that it just added that extra level of believability. But I thought it worked for the most part. And it's the music was done by Harry Manfredini, who did the Friday the 13th franchise, like almost every movie. Kane Hodder did the stunt coordination, who played Jason 4 times. So that's cool. And it's just so heavily inspired by giallos. There are all sorts of like shots of like blades coming into like direct light going down, and guys in trench coats with black gloves on, and like you can't see their face, and who is it? Like it's very heavily inspired by Italian giallos. And yeah, I dug it. I'm pleasantly surprised by Hanukkah. And yeah, I don't know. I recommend checking it out. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to modern horror movies. I really am. I don't just like eat up anything. There's a lot of like gratuitous gore, which is fine. I like the gore. It was good, but there's way too much gratuitous nudity. I will say that's probably my biggest criticism of it. Is it's just like at times if it's like borderline just like
Porn.
the most satanic porn you've ever seen. Ironically. But just like, lingering shots of like dead bodies, like naked dead bodies, and they're not just like just so happen to be there. They're clearly like, oh, aren't these girls so dead and sexy?
Yeah, it's like if you're into like snuff porn,
Yeah, I see that stuff on Twitter. Some people are just like into the art of dead naked people. Fucking deviant art is weird. But yeah, definitely. Cinematography.
It was pretty damn decent.
It was, except the color grading clashed with the format of VHS, but other than that, it worked really well.
Yeah. You could tell a lot of it was done practically. Like they would have lights. They did like they really focused on like bicolor, so they would do like tungsten and teal, or tungsten and like a kind of cobaltish,
Kubrick style.
Reds and greens, lots of just
very Italian,
straight across the color wheel. And it worked, honestly, and there was good shots, good Dutch angles. They had some angles that were like The Shining. They had some very very Kubrick-esque stuff that was all throughout it, and I feel like honestly the VHS did it justice. It felt like nothing was like too out of frame because of the cropping into the 4:3 aspect ratio on this TV, and I felt like it looked good, and everything was in frame. It had what it needed. It's kind of some weird sounds on it though. There's like they added like some VHS kind of like noise.
There's a lot of static hum, and I am like 99.9% sure it was added in, because I've had this TV for a few weeks, and I've watched probably like 8 or 9 movies, maybe 10 on it, and like it's never had that much static. I was literally watching something earlier today, and I think they added it for the extra VHS effect, I guess, but like I'm watching a VHS, so
yeah, some scenes it was really loud.
It was, and if it's not added on purpose, then the only other possibility is maybe it has something to do with the transfer, and like the audio files being converted to tape that they hadn't considered.
Yeah, maybe it could just be this tape specifically too, like it's just an error.
I want a refund. I'm just kidding. No, because at times it like felt stylized. It would like pop more, or like
Yeah.
happen at certain scenes, but not happen in others. And
I mean, to me, it felt like it was like an effect that they laid over that was like it read the RGB through Lumentry and then added an effect based on that, and then they render it
because every time
VHS or something.
Because every time it cut,
Yeah,
it would do it.
Yeah, and it's like, and it was consistent too. So it's either somebody meticulously went through and did it, or they just laid an effect onto it that did both of it at once, just read everything and then added a noise to go along with that. But regardless, there were some scenes that were like it was like kind of annoying that it was happening, where girls were like essentially dying and struggling, and like you can hear the hum more than their voice is like like literally more power from the speakers is going towards putting that hum through than to actually hear what our actresses are doing on screen. And it's pretty frustrating.
You know, I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray. Honestly, I'm gonna.
Is the Blu-ray cheaper than that one? That was like what, $25 for
$25. The limited edition one is the same price, but they have a cheap one on Amazon. But yeah, I'm gonna. The director Eben Magar, he obviously knows his horror well. He's got a cast of horror all-stars. And his stylistically, it runs the gambit from just like smutty torture porn, literally, not just like Saw, smutty torture porn, to like artsy Kubrick-esque shots. I respect the hell out of it.
And there's a little bit of like Suspiria-esque lighting. And stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's heavily inspired by Italian. Like, I would say the number one influence on this movie is Italian giallos and stuff like Suspiria and whatnot. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, does the Blu-ray is the Blu-ray in 1.85 or
yes,
is it
the Blu-ray's in 1.85
okay.
Widescreen, and it's this version is cropped. Some 4:3 aspect ratios have more image on the top and bottom. This one does not. But yeah, we'll check out the Blu-ray when it happens.
So they had some fake trailers.
They had trailers at the beginning of this. Yeah, I can't. I'm pretty sure they're fake, but yeah, they were really good. One was called like Ghost Girl, or
it was Sick Girl.
Sick Girl, yeah. And if it's a real movie, it looks really bad.
Yeah, really bad, but like hilarious. Like,
and then the second one, I thought it was like House of the Wolfman.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was like real.
I thought it was real too. I was like, is this like a classic film? And there was a stunt that gave it away. I could just tell by the angle and how, like, that they used pyrotechnics. I was like, there's no way that's from that era. And then when it finally showed the title, I was like, yep, I know my history. That is not real. But yeah, which it made the VHS feel all the more entertaining. And yeah, I'm glad this came through, because I fucking hauled this heavy ass TV out of my room. So
this TV weighs like 60 pounds or something like that. It's fucking heavy as shit. It's like not big either. It's what, like a 30-inch screen or something like that. It's fucking like pretty tiny. It's heavy as fuck.
Here's the thumbnail. I'm just gonna do it now. But yeah, did not disappoint. If any of the filmmakers just so happen to be watching this, because there are very few reviews, awesome, loved it. I will check out whatever else you got. PJ, final thoughts.
I'm sorry I was so tired when I watched your movie.
Yeah, because he's usually the most in-depth one.
Yeah, and Yeah, I don't know. I've had a long week. Give me a break.
Go.
Watch my other reviews, and you'll see that I'm a good boy. I'm a good person. Anyways, I did enjoy it. Really enjoyed the color grading and the lighting the most. I think cinematography was really good. Complemented the lighting very, very well. Yeah, overall in general, not a huge fan of like the whole like gore porn genre, and don't really watch a lot of them. Kind of stay away from like the cheap 80s horror.
I like gore for the craft. Like, you know, when I see gore, it's more than just like, whoa, that's cool. It's more like the hard work it takes to make a fucking skin dead body look realistic.
Right.
And they did it, and the way they lit it looked nightmarish.
Yeah.
And it was effective, and I'm rarely like creeped out by stuff, and there was some imagery in this that legit creeped me out.
Yeah, like hellish is a good description for like, because they used a lot of red, a lot of blood. The actresses did a great job of essentially being skinned alive and mutilated on camera.
Honestly, the acting was surprising. The first couple scenes, I was like, oh boy, this is another fucking indie horror with like terrible acting throughout it. But it picked up. It was really entertaining.
Yeah, besides the like husband guy, I didn't think he was a great actor, but I feel he was kind of
not like
pushed
winning
into
any awards, but just like
I think he was pushed into acting that way because they wanted to accentuate the kind of awkward religious person versus the contrast of everybody else who were like basically just as religious as him, but didn't tie into the whole indoctrination of it and kind of moved in a different direction, and he's all like stuck up and they're all like, yeah, whatever.
Wow.
And his wife is like, you know, fucking everybody, male or female. The movie's weird. Go check it out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be streaming, but yeah, it's Blu-ray soon.
That's it.
Check out our other reviews. Thanks a bunch. Rest in peace, Sid Haig. Let's talk about Sid Haig. We forgot to do that. This was Sid Haig's technically final film. Pretty sure he shot 3 from Hell after this. But there's going to be no more Sid Haig after this. I thought it was great. Honestly, better than 3 from Hell. Much more satisfying. He was still only in it for a little bit, but it felt satisfying. I like the rest of the movie gave me, you know, enough to be entertained with, where 3 from Hell I was just like, go back to Sid Haig. But yeah, Hanukkah, it's more than just.
Well, and they broke it up, you know. It was like we had shots of him like throughout the entire movie, yeah. Even if it was just the 1 or 2 scenes that he was in, you know, we got to see shots of him.
And when we do, he's fantastic.
Yeah, it worked. I'm sorry I'm seizing so much.
It's fine. There's another person who apparently died, Dick Miller. I'm not too familiar with your work. I'm pretty sure he's the rabbi at the end. I could be wrong, but I know just based on they dedicated it to him. Rest in peace, Dick Miller. And Robert Forster. I saw his name in the credits. But yeah, check out Hanukkah.
Check out Hanukkah and fuck Christmas.
We'll
see you guys later. Immediate review. Clocking out.